Good evening and welcome to Know Your Purpose. I am Dr. Stacy Venable, and tonight we have a fantastic guest on for you tonight. Someone that has been out in the community and just doing great work, and we just wanted to highlight her tonight and all the works that she's doing. But before we get started, of course, audience, we want to throw out a disclosure. Disclosure. These are our thoughts, our opinions, and our conversation. She's going to be highlighting a lot of great things that's going on in the community, and we just want to make sure that everybody's being embraced with informative information, and that's our goal tonight, to just bring informative information to the community. So let's welcome for Miss Felicia Grant Hopkins. How are you tonight?
I am doing really well. I'm excited and I'm honored to be here with you, Stacy.
It's been a pleasure to work alongside of you in a few things as we have. And I was just talking to you before we came on air. I think I was saying I had met you maybe in 2019 is when I think I first crossed paths with you,
Yes.
over doing some work at the Boys and Girls Club. And I've been watching you, and it's been phenomenal watching you. Great pillar of the society, and the things that you do. You embrace them very well. And that's where I wanted to start at, just giving us a little bit about what you do now.
Oh, I can hear you a little bit. I'm
You can
so
hear me just a
sorry.
little bit. Maybe we can get a little closer. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you really good now.
Yeah,
So
me.
yes, I know that I'm really excited because we did meet back in 2019. I was an advisor at that point for um, the Keystone that they had in Edgewood. And so we worked with, a few group of young people. They were dynamic young people. Uh, we did a health fair with them. We took them to different programs in the community. They were fantastic. And that's kind of where I kind of started to get my start with working in the community. So I'm just honored to be here with you tonight and, just have this conversation with you. Stacy, I remember working with you with the Orange event that they had for moms of Moms Demand Action. And I think there was maybe one other thing, but I just can't remember offhand.
Let me tell
But
you, it's been
it's
a
been a
lot that's
while.
gone on since 2019.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's been right. It's been a lot that's happened since that time. So I'm just glad to be able to sit here with you on today and see how you have grown and how the Lord has used your vessel in other areas of the vineyard. Because it takes a village to be able to not only do outreach, but to be able to be effective with our outreach to our community. So I commend you as well for where you are right now.
I thank you, and I'm humbled by it. I literally just talked to my son the other day, and he was like, "Mom, I don't know how you do it." I said, "I give all honor. I give all honor to God, because it's without Him we can't do anything. There is no vessel that will
Absolutely.
work and operate." Sometimes I work myself a little too hard, but I know it's for a purpose, and that's why this show, Know Your Purpose, came to my heart, and it allowed me to lead, because I
Mhm.
believe everybody was born with the purpose. It's just you finding
Yes.
your purpose, staying within your purpose. But those are the same things that God wants from us, just to be obedient and stay within in the parameters, in His will and in His way. So I literally um, had to remind myself um, what my purpose was. And that's why this show was highlighted. Then I started looking around, not only just in Harford County, but just like all over, not looking for just women, but just looking for people that wanted to be highlighted and share their purpose and how they're driving in the community. So that was one of the things. And the other day I was looking, and I'm not on Facebook as much. My son usually runs all of that. And I went on there and I saw that you had won this award. And I was like, oh my God, her picture is just radiant. And I said, I have got to
Wow.
get her on this show to let her know that sometimes people don't pay attention to all the works, but the good works that you do. And I believe you told us that that was a Citizen Award.
Yeah, I was nominated by a member of Omega Sci Fi fraternity, and it was called the Citizen of the Year Award.
Citizen of the Year. I had to
Yes,
get
I
that
was
right.
pretty shocked.
I listen, and it couldn't have went to a better person. It couldn't have went to a
I
better person.
appreciate that.
You've always been so diligent in everything that you've done. I know you have moved on from the factor of the Keystone. Can you tell us what you're doing now?
Oh my goodness. Well, just working with the young people, Stacy, uh, just coming in at that point of working with Keystone. Off and on through my entire life, I've always either worked with young people or
Hmm.
worked serving somewhere. My father being a bishop in Philadelphia and a pastor. I'm raised as a pastor's child,
Oh.
and we were groomed to serve.
Hmm.
From my very foundation, we were groomed to serve. And it's no different for my life right now. And as you were saying, we know our purpose. From a very young child, I felt different from everybody else, but I always felt committed to help and serve. So my life right now and the trajectory where it's taken me, where God has taken me, is all enveloped in from when I was a little child
Hmm.
to me being an adult to who I am right now is all based on where God has brought me. So even my other memory of the work that I'm doing right now, from Keystone to partnering, I was the campaign manager for Andre Johnson.
Yes, I
At
think
one
we
point,
worked alongside each other with that one as well. I think that was the second one that we worked with. We were putting together a campaign something for him as well at the Boys and Girls Club. I think we
yes,
worked
we
a
were
little bit.
doing a health fair,
Health fair, yes,
and
yes. It's like I
and
said,
and
forgive me for the fog brain here. A lot has gone on since then.
So with that, and that was just based out of a need because I heard I was at one of their campaign rallies, and
Hmm.
I heard some of the great needs that Edgewood needed, and the fact that we didn't go out there and vote as much as the
Hmm.
other, like Bel Air, North Hartford, Abingdon, but the residents in Edgewood, there are more residents in Edgewood than there are in any part of the
Right.
county,
Yes.
but we vote less.
Hmm.
And so that sparked my servant heart again. There's got to be something we can do. So that's kind of how I got into working with some of the other aspiring politicians at that time, along with Andre Johnson. From there, I went into working with sickle cell. My daughter was on nominated on their board, sat in one of their meetings, Stacy, and I listened to the concerns, and I was just like, wait a minute, I can't just get up and walk away and act
Hmm.
like I didn't hear any of these things. I got
Yeah.
to do something. And
Yes.
so even though one person can't do everything,
Hmm.
I do believe with my whole heart, one person can do something. We all
Oh,
can
one
do
person can make a difference. I
something.
believe that too. I believe that wholeheartedly. Um, Going back
And
right there, looking at Martin Luther King, you know, one person can drive a whole nation to do. It's possible. I believe it's possible.
yes, and so from sickle cell, just being able to be on the Harford County Caucus of African American Leaders,
Hmm.
um, what else? Just being able to help with different projects. I've worked with Dr. John Sampson. He's an anesthesiologist that lives in Havre de Grace. And he is a doctor at Johns Hopkins. And I was able to rally up some young people with me and Bonita Holland to be able to bring them into places that they had never been before. And some places I had never been before.
Wow, that's
But
yeah.
I'm always up for the challenge.
Right.
When one thing begins to spiral into another,
Hmm.
it sparks a fire in you, especially if it's something that God has really put in your heart to
That's
do.
right. That's
And
right.
so, even right now, how I got to the health department, they were in need of community health workers, and I really wasn't sure what that was,
Hmm.
but I saw the announcement. I'm
Hmm.
gonna be honest with you, Stacey, I was not going to apply.
Okay.
I saw it there for about a month. I
Oh.
looked at it and then I got a phone call from a community leader and said, Felicia, I think that you should apply for this position. And at that time, I was going through a very hard spot. I had not been employed for about 3 years. So
Oh.
look at this. I was working in the community, trying to be employed other places, and couldn't get a job.
Wow.
So that's a whole nother story, honey. You're gonna
That's
have
just,
to let me back.
that's a story of, you know, that's a story that needs to be told. I literally I sat with some females just a couple of days ago, and they were like, when are you going to write your book? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, because it's like a tell-all type story. And one of the young ladies, one of my elders, looked over at me and she took my hand and she said, always remember this book is not just for your purpose. It's for others. So yeah, your story needs, because a lot of
Honey,
people don't realize how much we give back to the community, and we do it so unselfishly. We just give,
unselfishly,
and
unselfishly.
that's one of the things it just touched my heart when you just said that. Like, 3 years, I've known you throughout those 3 years, and just the love that you've always brought, even when you stepped in the room, and still just done that, just because this is the way God has designed you.
And
That's commendable
Stacy,
right
I
there.
have to say this, when you have a passion in your heart and God has assigned you to a certain work, it's not about the money,
That's right.
although an income is important.
That's right.
He prepared me way back in my 30s for a time such as this. He
Mm.
showed me this. He showed me in my brain. I kept on seeing it. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to get it out of my head. I didn't
Mm.
know how the pieces were going to come together. But God knew. And so when people look at me now, they see
Mm.
the confidence, but they don't
Absolutely.
understand the journey that it took for me to get here. They wouldn't walk in these shoes if they knew what I had to do, what God was calling me to do back in those days to get to me where I am right now.
I
So,
I
yes, I
I
had to
can
go in those
trust.
rooms with a smile on my face. I
Oh.
had to go in there sometimes. I didn't have no money in my pocket. But let me tell you something, God provided and He kept on encouraging me. Even when it was dark, I kept moving forward. I kept showing up. I kept building up my best. And it wasn't because of the people, Stacy. It was
Mm.
because God said, and
Let
it
me
was an
tell you,
assignment.
he says in his word that he will supply all of our needs, and I am a sole believer of that. And I've had this driven in me for a long time. And a lot of the ways I went the wrong way, and then I've came back onto the right way. And what I've grown to know as being 48 years old, with raising kings of my own, I was never on the wrong road. I was always on the right road, but I was just looking for the right journey to go.
Mm,
And it's always been instilled in me to work in the community, and give as much as I can. But sometimes you have to take a back up and a breather and say, hey God, I'm coming back before you again. Where do you want to use me now?
mm,
Because I was big in the community. I was big into doing a lot.
mm-hmm.
And God has a way of showing up in your life and sitting you down, and revamping you. I speak about it wholeheartedly everywhere. I had a heart attack, and that's what really took me out of commission
Yes,
for
I
a while.
remember. Yes.
Um, but when I had it, I was selfish, because I went into that why is me, and I heard God say before I went into the operating room, why not you? You know,
Mm,
and it made me
mm,
start looking at everything differently. It made me understand that it's not what I want to do, it's what he wants me to do. And I lost a lot of people along the way.
mm-hmm.
But I said that's okay. I've gained some wonderful people, but I lost a lot of people along the way. And sometimes you just have to sit down quietly. And I did that. I did that for the last 2 years. I've sat quietly because I just need to hear a word from him. I was hearing a word
Mm-hmm.
from everybody. Miss Felicia, I'm telling you, when I tell you, I was hearing words from everybody.
I'm
And it wasn't,
sure.
it wasn't, it wasn't a bad thing, because hey, we want you on our team, because I like you. I show up to do the work. I show up to work. I'm going to work until the day is done. But
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't hearing from God. I wasn't hearing from Him, and I
Mm-hmm.
think the reason why I wasn't hearing from Him, because I was so busy. We have to be careful using that busy word.
Yeah.
We have to be careful, because when we get so busy, most of the time we get so busy, we forget about why we're truly serving, and why we're really truly out there, and why we're truly active. We
Mm-hmm.
forget about that. So it's just a blessing to know that you have moved forward, and every time I've seen you, you would never know. You would never know throughout that you've always smiled. You always had a beautiful personality. So sometimes us as women, and I'm not going to just say African American women, I'm going to say women, we
Sure.
wear, I was so happy. I know it sounds crazy, you being in the health profession. I was happy when COVID came, because I was able to finally wear that mask to where no one I could take 2 years off from somebody really knowing the pain that I had
Mm,
endured throughout the couple of years, losing loved ones, losing friends, and just
mm,
trying to find my way. I was happy to
mhm.
put a mask on. I was happy. And
Yeah.
sometimes when, when I don't want to have people see what's going on behind my smile, I throw that mask back on just because it gives me that moment of freedom to breathe.
Yeah, if it allowed a lot of us to be able to reset ourselves,
Mhm.
you know.
And I have done
So
just that. I have done
mhm,
just that. You know what? It's nothing wrong with resetting and revamping. I tell my sons all the time, don't stay stagnant. Nothing grows in stagnancy. But it's okay to rebuild. But understand when you rebuild, you're taking up something called time. So if we can do it the right way, let's try to do it the right way the first time, but don't be defeated in the fact of the matter that maybe that wasn't your right time.
mhm.
That's not what God wanted for you. So I see that God has built up all kinds of ways and avenues within you. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing at the health department since you've made your journey over there.
So the health department has been such a blessing. It has allowed my life at this point to become full circle. Um, I came in, and I'm still a CHW, which is a community health worker. We came in the beginning, me and another coworker, her name is Michelle Peterson, to be able to bring education and build up um, the need for vaccinations in our community. But at the
Mm,
same time, when we were sat down, Dr. Bashai, who was the president health officer at that time, let us know that we also need to create some programs to address health disparities and public health in Harford County. He literally, Stacey, just gave us like a piece of paper with things that we had to earmark and include.
okay.
And so he kind of set us on our way. And so we realized, and I realized that we couldn't be everywhere. We were already hitting the pavement to go to churches with vaccinations and drive throughs. We had to create a community advisory board with community leaders and elected officials and church members, CBOs, which is community based organizations. And so that was my wheelhouse. That was all what I enjoyed doing.
Mm,
So it was written in our grant that we had to have these meetings and address and find out what they wanted to address and how they wanted to address the community and what we as the health department can do. So we meet monthly with our stakeholders. We've created programs where we go out in the community monthly and we hold events. Like, for example, we had Chef Catherine Brown. We did crock pot throwdown. We've done dinner and a book. We've had special guests come on a podcast because we realized because we can't reach everybody at one time, we created a bi-weekly broadcast, which we had talked about offline, which we bring on experts that talk about our health issues and our public health issues, like the high need to know our A1C with diabetes,
mhm, mhm,
the cancer,
mhm,
colon cancer, uh, hypertension,
mhm,
and some other things that are killing us or putting us in the hospital in the ER as African Americans or as people of color here
mhm.
in Harford County. So we've created, those monthly broadcasts. We even started doing out of a high need of the mental health as we were going in the community.
Mhm.
People were asking us, can you just address what's going on in my home, with my daughter, with my son? We did a survey with some young people, and one of the young men put in the survey, I just want to talk about what's going on with my dad. And it
Wow.
almost broke my heart. I was flabbergasted. I said, we have to do something. So we
Mhm.
created a program called the Youth Symposium, We Matter, We You Matter Youth Symposium, where we brought them to the Epic Center in Aberdeen. And we spent the whole night loving on those young people,
Wow. Amazing.
separating them from the boys to the girls. We
Right.
just did the young ladies November 18th, and both of those became very successful
Mm,
because of the outreach we were allowed to do. So, um, December 30th, I think that I just shared with you
yes.
that we're doing Snacks and Facts, and that addresses social emotional learning and the importance to reading to our children.
Hmm.
Everybody that comes to our events knows that they walk away with not just a little trinket, but they get some very nice gifts. And the reason why we do that is because, first of all, we can. And
Hmm.
second of all, you are worth that investment. So
Absolutely.
people have walked away with crock pots, fitness watches. They walked away with self care kits. This time they'll walk away with an author, a book, and something to eat, and resources that address health in our community. So being at this particular job and doing this work is just like a dream fulfilled. But
Hmm.
we haven't even scratched the surface. There's so many things that I see God is going to do through us through this department. So that's just a little bit, but they can find that information. I know that you would ask me, but they can find that information on the Harford County Health page on
Hmm.
Facebook or on the web page on the harfordcountyhealth.com.
And we will be highlighting that as well, on our pages, and as we have scripts and things running down the bottom of scrolls down the bottom, we're going to be highlighting those things. We would love to take the initiative. I think we were just talking off air. We're going to start posting some of the flyers on our websites as well, just to get the message out. I'm just want to tell you that I've been a little illiterate to the fact of the matter that I didn't even know that all of those things were going on over at the health department. And I think that's one of the biggest issues here, not only just here in Harford County, but one of the biggest issues we face as a community is sometimes, not knowing where to go and who to find and things of that nature. What other things do you think, as you've been in the crossroads of working with the youth and also with adults, in this healthcare factor? What other issues do you think that we're facing right now here? I want to be very, very political here, in Harford County. What do you think? Just your own opinion. We're owning this tonight. What do you think some of our other crossroads are?
Okay, so that's a loaded question, and you know that, Stacy. Good grief.
It is a loaded
So,
question, but I was just trying to see where else we.
so I'm going to attempt to answer this the best I can because you never know who's watching, but
Absolutely.
I
That's
won't
why we're
own
taking
my truth.
ownership, because I
I
believe, I'll just start with here. I believe that the youth is where we always need to be. Because they are our next charter. They are our next. And I've been working with not just youth, but I've been working with the Gen X team. So I've been working with those guys. I've been working with the 18 to 32, around that time, that age. I used to work with all youth. I think I remember telling you that way back when. But I've been working with that Gen X team, and I've just been kind of listening to what they need and trying to just meet them at their needs. So that's why the question came about.
So there are so many different programs that Harford County has to offer. And as you said, people just need to know where to look. And it's not so much that the people that are offering these programs don't want people there. It's just sometimes um, our groups can be so fragmented,
Hmm.
for lack of a better word, that there's a group here, there's a group there, there's a group over here doing really good, but no one kind of comes together to do
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
to partner. Well, I'm all about partnering. We've reached out to sororities, we've reached out to fraternities, other different organizations and churches, and it's so important that if you have information, to know that if you feel confident in the calling that you're doing, that
Hmm.
you won't mind sharing.
Sharing it. Yes,
And
yes.
then you won't mind including other people,
Hmm.
because even if what I'm doing is similar, it's not the same. And
Hmm.
your neck of the vineyard is not the same as my neck of the vineyard.
Hmm.
I'm very transparent. You can find information from other people that I know of and have sent me things. You can find it right on my Facebook page,
Hmm.
and if you ask me, I will tell you about it, because I feel like this. I don't have all the answers,
Right, right,
but
right.
you can go somewhere else and hear something that I have to say, but
Hmm.
then you can go somewhere else and feel like this person connects with me more. Isn't that still getting the work of God
Still getting the
done?
word out. That's still getting the word out. The mission is still being
The
accomplished
mission is still being
at the end
accomplished.
of the
So
day.
out
Yeah,
here in
my
Hartford.
son, is when he's on his social media, the first thing he always tells me, "Mom, make sure you tell people to like, love, and subscribe." And he said that's very important. It doesn't cost anything for us to share dialogue and information, especially important information. And nowadays, everybody's on social media. A couple of months ago, we were doing an event and we went to hang something. I sent one of my employees to hang some flyers, and the lady's like, "Oh, we don't hang flyers anymore. You can just put that on social media." And I was like,
Mm,
well, what about the older population who doesn't? Or what about you even have some people who just don't agree? But they have
mhm,
even moved cross lines of even posting flyers. I remember we used to go to the post office in Edgewood all the time. And I used to always look at the flyers because it was a whole bunch of them. And I just happened to visit that post office. I don't live in Edgewood anymore, but I just happened to visit that post office. I went to look for that board and that board is gone. So I'm
wow.
thinking, how are we sharing information?
Mhm,
We have to do that. And
mhm.
I if I stand in something and I believe in something, I'm sharing it. I'm
Oh,
sharing.
absolutely. I feel the same way. If I know about it, and then sometimes, if I overlook to do it, and then I find out about it, I will still share it with whoever I can share it with. But
Mhm,
we have to be of the mindset that whatever God has called you to,
mhm.
that you can feel confident in the fact that He's going to lead you the rest of the way, and that you don't have to shy away from partnering.
No,
You don't
no.
have to shy away
I
from
think
that. You don't have
that
to
is the
shy away
best.
from getting the information out to people.
Right.
And I'm all about that. You can find it on my page if you want to go on there. But right now, my area of influence is working in health and public health for the Minority Health Program. And another plug for that is that it was just named a Minority Health Program in 2021. We no 2022 of this year, March, excuse me, because there was not a program for minority health. And
Wow.
it was not named that because the minority health program just wants to, be divisive. As some people thought we were just sort
Mhm,
of like, why do
mhm,
you need a minority health program? Well, the statistics show that I guess the message isn't getting out there good enough for us to
mhm,
be able to go to a doctor, care about our health the way that we really need to care about our health. And the numbers were so high that we had to create a program that was designated from people that look like us
mhm.
to be
Absolutely.
able to reach us, culturally competent community health workers
Mhm,
in the community, sharing resources to be able to save many people alive, as the book of Esther would talk about.
mhm. Well, it's like also, you guys have the hardest job because you have to go through. First of all, you have to build up the trust for them to even want to even take that
That
step
part,
to come. And a lot of people, and I am from Harford County, born and raised, and Edgewood is where I grew up. And I was in Edgewood all the way up until I was almost, I think I was 39 when I left Edgewood. But Edgewood is still my home. Edgewood will still always be dear and near to me. Harford County will remain. I do everything in Harford County. I do everything to highlight, but I also believe that sometimes you have to look like the other person on the other hand that's giving you the information for this, and it's just all about building trust. And,
yes,
and,
the
and
building trust
we
part is
have,
huge.
yeah, and we have low improv numbers there, and sometimes my son says, they're the forget about land down there, but they're not. That's
Mhm.
why it's so important for you and for this organization to bring forth great informative information. I think the more we put out, they will come. But
It's
again,
starting to build up, yes.
mhm,
And the thing is that you said a key word, building up the trust. And you can't build up trust if you don't care.
mhm,
And if you don't care, you're not going to believe in the work that you're doing. And you absolutely, thirdly, need to be a very persuasive
mhm,
and educated communicator. And all of those things, three things, is very important: caring, believing, and being a very good communicator in the community. That helps to build up the trust.
mhm.
So, and very much being consistent too. And
Absolutely,
one
that
thing that
consistency
a lot of
is
our
is
people have
one great thing.
lost
And
is
just having someone to be accountable as well, for what's going on. Sometimes, you can see stuff going on and nobody has that accountability piece to bring forth great programs like you guys have done down there at the health department. And again, just me being naive to the fact of the matter that I don't work in the public sector as much as I used to. So I'm just telling you right now, like this for me over here, I don't keep up on those things, and I think that does all of us disservices when we don't keep up, but we can keep up on all kinds of other things. And one thing when I was out there in the political realm and in the community, being a great listener is another way to advocate for people that are in need in general. Just sitting around listening to their stories and trying to see where their story can fit into my story and how we can make that story fit into the village that we're serving. I was sitting at the bus stop a couple weeks ago, and I was waiting on a friend, and the young lady said, "It's so nice to have a bus terminal here in Edgewood." I'm like, "Yes," And she's like, I never thought it would come." And just sitting there listening to her story of how important it is that she can just sit there and wait for the bus and not be rained on or not be beat down by the sun. And because people don't understand that our mental health, is what plays a big factor as well. And I think
Absolutely.
we were talking about some of the mental health and help that you guys are doing as well for the minorities. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, and even as I just stated, we do the youth symposium, but the next part is we're going to be partnering with the Chosen Mount Zion Church because the progression of what we were doing all roads need to lead to parents and caregivers and
Yes.
our mental health. And
Yes.
so we'll be partnering with them. And so stay tuned for that as we bring our parents, caregivers together to talk about mental health as well. It's a big factor.
Hmm.
Stacy, as Black and Brown community, we have always been through different types of traumas and survival
Hmm.
mode,
Hmm.
even prior to the pandemic.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know,
Ma'am.
so the pandemic just highlighted more of our survival skills and
Yes.
all what we have suffered, personal traumas,
Hmm.
collective traumas, and just different types of slow, ongoing situations that we call normal,
Hmm.
but aren't really normal.
Yeah, we have learned to normalize things that just should not be, but it comes back to the fact of the matter of how we were raised. And one of my guests on my show reminded me. I was saying generational curse, and she was like, "Don't say that anymore." So it was just a foundation that was laid for us. It was not a curse because we can break that. We can break that chain, and we have. We've done great. We've done great strides in breaking it, but it's still so much out there that can be.
Yes. So again, I say the pandemic has really given us a catapult to
Hmm.
be able to bring our collective traumas to front and center and to effectively now deal with it. Again,
Absolutely.
God does all things well. And so, along with what we know from our past, embracing what's happening in our present, and then looking forward to a future of better mental health for the Black and Brown community, it starts with us. We are not waiting for someone to come to our rescue. We are the rescue party,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we have educated doctors, psychologists, social workers, in different fields that are culturally competent to be
Hmm.
able to help us help each other.
Hmm.
So that's where we are right now as far as mental health, collecting, researching, and then putting together the best product we can for our people. And I'm not just talking about us as African Americans, I'm talking about all types of minorities.
And that's the greatest thing because it comes a point in time, where we have to learn to work together. Um, we have such a mixed culture lifestyle now too. And we don't want to we don't want to overlook anyone. Of course, by no means do we want to overlook anyone, but we have to put the significance of where it is. And that's in our brown and black community. We have to put it there. My granddaughter is biracial, and she knows the difference. She knows the
Mm.
difference, and still, she's still in the middle. So we have to make sure that even those that are in the middle are cared for in every aspect, because pretty soon that's just the way of the world. And that's kind of
Mhm.
how I explained to her, that there are things that have made us improved in the brown and black community, and there's other things that have we have done within ourselves to not be on the forefront. And I think that cultivating everyone, giving everyone the great opportunity to endure into different programs that the health department has over there. Because I know for a fact that there's many more programs there, but just embodying someone to come to this program. And I remember, I don't know if you guys still do it at the health department, but they used to have brochures all over the place, like in a little kiosk. You guys still have that?
Yeah, so we definitely have brochures. And so every time Michelle and I are out in the community and we do an event or we are invited somewhere, we come representing the Minority Health Program, but we also represent the other programs the health department offers,
And that is
like
so
Megan's Place
that is so
and
important.
One North Main. They have dental services. There is a behavioral clinic in Bel Air in the health department that people
Mhm.
don't know about. So we come out armed with the resources that are given to us from the health department and where we partner with Upper Chesapeake Medical and other agencies that offer good programs. So when you see us, you can ask us for a different specialty, and we probably will have that resource available.
And
So
that's what I was the wave of the conversation was going. Like, it's just not a one shop stop thing with you guys. You guys come, and the biggest thing we need to do is bring informative information to the community. But I
right.
don't I want people to understand that you guys have a lot more to offer. So much more to offer, but these programs are so needed. Now, as far as people taking advantage of the programs, is this a program that's going to be ongoing, like longevity throughout the health department?
So I pray it is.
Me
You
too.
know, we get grants for these things, and they are specialized to now what we've created. So I hope and pray that it does have longevity, like the IU We Matter Youth Symposium and our monthly events. Um, we are getting more people to participate because, of course, it took a while to pave
Hmm.
the road
Hmm.
for people to be able to come. And so now it's building momentum, but it takes people like you, Dr. Stacy, and other programs to begin to continue not only to highlight what we do, but to show up to the programs that we have to offer so they can also see not only is there a high need for this and it's needed, they're actually showing up and lives are being changed because of it. And also, it takes more than me. It
Hmm.
takes more than what Michelle and I can do as two community health workers. It takes all of us to be able to spread the information so we can better help and serve our community.
Absolutely, because I know within working with some grants myself, and if they aren't used and they're not effective, sometimes those grants go away. And that's one of the things I want to hammer home tonight in this podcast show, is that we need you guys, and I'm talking to the audience right now. We need you guys to utilize these programs, because again, I'm not speaking about just this one program at the health department. All programs that are grant funded, we need you guys to utilize them, or they'll feel like that we don't need them, and they'll
That's right.
take money and move on
And
to
that
go.
money goes away, goes somewhere else.
Right. So tonight and you're right. We're doing our best in highlighting, but we need to show up. We need to show up in grave numbers, to because the more numbers you have, everything comes back down to numbers. Everything comes back down to numbers.
That's
and
right.
and they're only going to allow these things, these grants and things of these natures, to lay dormant for so long before they say, hey, well, let's move on to something else. Well, we don't want here in Harford County, my us minority, we don't want y'all to move on to something else. We just want you to
Right.
be bigger and better. So
Right.
that was one of my main goals for highlighting, because as I sat and started reading into different things, I'm like, wow, we need to not only just highlight her, but the work that she's doing within the community. But not only just the work that you do, but where you do it and how effective you are. So what's
Mhm.
coming next for the health department? I mean, I know you talked about the flyer here. Is there something else next that you guys have set in gold stone for?
Whew, yes, yes, yes. So, first of all, I wanted to acknowledge the whole Harford County Health Department
Yes,
team.
thank you. Fantastic team.
So, population health, shout out to that whole team out there. My supervisor, Rania Nassar, she is the acting deputy director for population health. So, it takes a team to make it
Mm.
effective. Teamwork makes the dream work.
That is so true. That is so true. That saying will never get old.
It won't, because it's so
Never get
true.
old.
It's so true. So again, with the monthly event that's coming up in December, again, they are working on some really good programs to address the bring down the diabetes
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
inside of our community. It's really, Stacy, it's so big that if you look at the data, it would make you cry.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
As far as us in the ER, the mortality rate, and us having our high A1Cs, and
Hmm.
that's just in Harford County.
Hmm.
Be on the lookout for new broadcasts that will show up in probably February, because we're still behind the scenes trying to build that up to make it better for our
Okay.
community. Look for our monthly events. Um, if you are a community based organization or a church and you would like for us to come to you with any of the title programs that you see listed on the Facebook page
Hmm.
or our webpage, you can call me. You can reach me at the information that Dr. Stacy will provide, and we will make an arrangement to meet you. We will make an arrangement to partner with you to come out and do our programs. We have a lot of great titles, and every time we come out, remember, we are looking to do our best to be a spirit of
Absolutely.
excellence,
Absolutely.
and you will walk away with something fantastic. So just stay tuned to our Facebook page and web page on where the Minority Health Program will be next.
Fantastic. Is there anything else that you're going to be doing within the community besides? I know that you are. Uh,
I did forget one thing.
sure.
So again, the Snacks and Facts is going to be at the Village at Lakeview, December 30th, from 11 to 2, I believe. There's going to
Okay.
be a flyer for that. Look on that
Yes,
page.
we're going to post that flyer as well on our Business Suites of Brass Mill
So
page.
there's
And
two other things.
mhm.
I am a member of the Habit of Grace Rotary, where they do their wellness series. And their wellness series is a little different from what we do in our biweekly broadcast, because we know that they reach a different audience that we don't reach on a consistent basis.
Yes.
So they'll have a series that comes out on Wednesdays,
Okay.
twice a month, and that flyer will be on the health page. The next place I'll be is Kwanzaa. So Kwanzaa, I've partnered with the Habit of Grace Colored School Foundation. It's a museum in, of course, Habit of Grace,
Mm-hmm.
and that is December 29th from 11 to 2. Let me tell you something. The history in that building is amazing.
Amazing. It's
Please
fantastic.
come take a free
If you have
tour.
not gone there,
Hmm?
if you hear Harford County, Baltimore County, whatever county, if you have not gone there just to take a walk through and look at the history, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yes, so
Go,
they're going to be, and
go.
so along with Kwanzaa, they're going to be highlighting the life of Dr. Charles Stansberry with Kwanzaa. They're going to be playing a game of Kahoot, and they're going to have door prizes. We
Oh, that
will have
sounds fun.
Kwanzaa ambassadors, which are young people. It's going to be a whole vibe. I would get there. I already know that you're going to be off. Your kids are not going to be in school that week.
Mm-hmm.
So show up.
There's no reason you can't come.
No reason why you can't come unless you don't have transportation, and we understand that. But please make your way out there, because it's going to be a family oriented event, and it's going to be fantastic.
And not only that, we're just showing them a piece of their history. We're sharing history. As when you walk in that door, you feel the history is this is hitting you right
Yes.
now. You definitely feel it. My mom went to that school, so yeah. So and they're natives of Harford County. So when I always try to get to different programs that they have over there. One of the things that we talked about, and we're gonna go is this: try not to make yourself too busy for what you believe in and the purpose you stand for. And like I just love showcasing Harford County because Great people and great things come out of this little hidden jewel called Harford County. We're a diamond in the rough here. Uh,
Yes, very much so.
and no matter where I go or where I travel, on whatever show I'm on or whatever I'm doing, I always, always, always let people know that I am from good old Harford County, born and raised.
Hmm.
I see one thing that I read on your bio. You have several brothers and sisters as well as I, and
Hmm.
we all have come from these families that just have so much. Because I never forget. It's at my house. It was never less than 14. My mom didn't have 14; she had seven. But when she brought the cousins and everybody, it was never less than 14 people in our home. And,
Hmm.
and I just want people to know that great things come out of those improv areas.
Yes.
There's a lot of success coming up out of Harford County, and we are building away. We're building away, and we can't forget
Hmm.
about that. And no matter how high we go, we can't forget about where we came from. And
Yes,
that's
I also want to lastly give a shout out to my pastor, Bishop Erwin Schofield. We call him the People's Bishop at Infusion Church in Abingdon, and I am a minister there as well. And
Yes, I wasn't
so,
about bringing that up because they have to know where you are, because not only are you leading in the community, but you're leading souls right back to Christ as he offered up to us to do such. And it could be a better person to do that, but you. Like I said, you have always from day one. When I first saw you, um, I saw Christ.
wow.
Christ showed up in you before you opened your mouth, and that's the way it should be. Because he
Oh,
says
thank
serve,
you.
serve his people. And that's what we're out here doing, serving his people. And you do a phenomenal job at it. But I just didn't want to highlight what you do in the community. I want to also highlight what you do at your church. So can you just tell us a little? Because a lot of people don't know.
Yes. I just became a licensed minister. It's something that I've
Congratulations.
always had in my heart to do. And,
Yes.
with life being the way it has been, it wasn't a rush to be licensed or ordained. But now that I am, it's still everything becoming full circle. In God's timing, all things do work together for good
Yes,
to
it
them
does.
that are called according to his will and purpose. So, yes, Infusion Church is in constant friendship. We share the church with Sovereign Grace, and
Okay.
that's in Abingdon, Maryland. If you're familiar with where the BJ's is, that's
I sure am.
exactly the
I
church
sure am.
that we utilize.
I have
And
to come and visit.
it's a
I have to come and visit. Tell us what times your church services are for those who want to come and visit.
So the church services are from start in the afternoon at 12:30
Hmm.
because we partner with the church,
Sure.
Sovereign Grace, and so the services are from 12:30 to maybe 2:30.
Hmm.
And let me tell you something. I would encourage everyone that is looking for a church home. I'm not saying leave your church.
Absolutely.
I'm
I hear you.
saying
I hear you.
don't do that, because see, God has already assigned you a shepherd. And if God has
Absolutely.
assigned you a shepherd that is feeding you, please be where God is leading you. And
Hmm.
also, if you don't have a church home, I would encourage you to come out to Infusion Church. And the reason why I'm there and not in the city is because the Lord called me out here. And
Hmm.
I felt as though that I wanted to be able to send others there. If someone asked me, well, where do you go to church? Where do you prayed for me, but where do you worship? I
Hmm.
wanted to be able to send them
You want to
someplace
provide them a
local that I
covering.
knew about. Yes, I have
Yes,
a
a place
covering
where
out
you can
here.
have a covering. So
And
yes,
so
and
it's a, mhm,
I just wanted to highlight that because it's a part of knowing your purpose. And
yes,
and you waited, and you were obedient. And sometimes I just talked a little bit to a high school class about being patient and waiting for what God has for you. He will. It'll come.
it
But
will come.
it will come. But sometimes, us in the flesh, we just don't want to wait. And you deserve it. Why are you picking her over me? You just have to have that patience. And they said, well, you just became all these things like at 48, but you don't know the preparation that I did
Have no clue.
for waiting on him, the
Have
journey,
no clue.
the
And
journey.
that's
And
a whole,
I tell people all
Stacy,
the
that's a
time,
whole message in
yes,
itself. People have no clue.
they have no
And
clue. And we spoke
because
a little
they
bit about
don't, they look at where you are right now,
that.
and they figured that, oh, that's nothing. I could do that. I can replicate that. But they have no clue where you came from.
Hmm.
to walk in the confidence that you walk in now.
And I tell
And
you,
so,
I
yeah,
keep coming back to, you don't know my story.
you don't know my
You don't
story.
know. You just don't know. And that's why, um, again, I had to look back over my life, and I'm telling you, and I had to think things over, and then I came back again, and God will allow you to do it again and again and again and again, is until you get it right. And I'm so thankful
Yeah.
for that. You
He's
know,
long suffering. He's
I am
patient.
so thankful for a God that just gives us multiple chances, and just and forgives us as we go along the way, because we have to understand, with our purpose, we may not have done it the right way, but God will trip you up and make you sit down, and he will have a conversation with you. And
Absolutely.
being in the health industry, like I said, I thought that I was this superwoman with an S on my chest, until he sat me down October 6th of last year and said, "Hey, you know what? You just suffered a massive heart attack." And
Mm.
granted, my mother died of a massive heart attack. She had colon
Wow.
cancer at first. She beat that. She had stage 4 colon cancer. When I tell
Wow.
you, she rocked it, she won, she beat it. And then a couple of years later, she died of a massive heart attack.
Wow.
So when they gave me that diagnosis, I was like, "Oh, no, 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 you're not talking to me," because there was no signs, there were no symptoms. But there's always signs, always symptoms, but I was ignoring them, or I was catapulting them onto something else. And
Wow.
I think at that time I was moving, Miss Felicia, I was moving so much that I wasn't, and I think I want to share with you, I wasn't hearing from God. I wasn't hearing what he wanted me to do. So he said, "You
Hmm.
know what? I've already set this path for you, and you're going straight. So I'm going to sit you down." And he
Wow.
did that. But it
Wow.
gave me an opportunity to regroup, revamp myself, and come better. And that's all with knowing your purpose is about. You know,
Absolutely.
taking accountability
Absolutely.
for where you're going in your journey and how you served. That's why I said it was so important when you said that to me, and early on, like you came from a serving family. And we have
Yeah.
to continue to serve in any
Yeah. It doesn't
capacity.
stop.
If you're out here, and I'm talking to the audience, if you're out here and you're working at Walmart, you're working at Subway, you're working wherever, continue to serve. And serve in the willpower that you don't serve in where Dr. Stacy's serving, or wanting to do that, or where Minister Felicia is right now. Just serve in your capacity and in your way.
Hmm.
That's what you were designed for. That's what your makeup was for. But I had to highlight you tonight. I could
I
not.
appreciate you, Stacy. I really do. I really, really am honored.
And we're going to have you back on, because we want to keep bringing you on to tell our community, our followers, about the great things that are going on. So we'd like to bring you back in the spring of the year, because I'm sure you guys will have some new programs following up through that.
I'm
We'd like to bring you
sure.
back. And we also like to hear about how God is using you in your new line of ministry, and your calling. You always had the calling, but now within the entitlement of doing God's work. So we want to hear more back from you. You think you'll come back on our show and just enlighten us? It'll be in the spring.
Absolutely. I'm honored. I will be back whenever you send out the invitation. And it's not so much that my schedule is always packed. It's always, I got to pace myself on how I get things done. So I'll be very glad to come back whenever the Lord leads and it's timing. I'll be back.
Is there anything you want to share with the audience tonight before we go? Anything that God has put on your heart for his people? I'm not going to just say those people, his people.
Well, Stacy, you're asking timely questions, and I'm not going to belabor the time being
Sure.
on, but I want to encourage every listener out there that when God has purposed you to do something, don't ignore the call.
Hmm.
That's the first thing. And second thing is, good things take time. I'm 50 years old and walking in a purpose that I did thought I was going to be doing in my 30s and 40s, but God ordained a time such as this. Do not be discouraged. Do not get weary in well doing. In due season, you will reap if you faint not. I promise you, it doesn't matter how hard it gets, do not give up. Keep moving forward. God's promises are yea and amen. He does not lie. He's not like man. He's not trying to trick us. He's not trying to devastate us. He has a very good plan for you. So, anyone listening and the small snippet that you heard of my life, um, be encouraged that God's got a good plan for you. Keep moving forward. Be encouraged.
But we thank you tonight. I'm telling you, you dropped some amazing nuggets tonight, and I'm just so grateful to have been in your presence for the last almost hour now. My son is telling me, yeah, mom, she's fantastic. I said, I told you so.
Oh,
I told you so. So
thank you.
tonight we just thank you again for coming on. Know your purpose, and we have created a slogan just a couple of weeks ago that we're going to run with for the rest of the year. Together is better.
Absolutely.
Together is better. And that's, and I'm going to be highlighting that slogan. And thank you so much, because us being together, it made all the well hour better. It really did. Timing is of
Absolutely.
essence, and it has been a wonderful hour to share with you. It gave me my downtime, and you have graced me with so much. And I just want to tell you again, we appreciate you, and congratulations on all your endeavors. And I know you have so
Thank
much
you.
more. But we're going to say
Thank
goodnight,
you.
audience. If you have any questions for Miss Felicia, you can leave them in our comment box. She will be able to see them once the show is shared. And if there's any comments or questions, we're going to leave some email addressing for her so she can make sure she's addressing those comments. Again, tonight, if there's anything that you need to leave in the Business Suites of Brass Mill, we will forward those comments to her. I'm sure she will have, if she doesn't have an answer, she'll find one for you. So let's stay
Absolutely.
within her. Let's stay within the path of her, so that way we can get these questions answered. We do get bombarded a lot with a lot of questions for our guests. So be patient. Give us about 24 to 48 hours, because she is a very busy person. But I'm sure she does not
I will
have
make
any
time.
problem answering any questions. So Miss Felicia, we'll let you know, because you're going to get bombarded, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'm totally fine with it. I'm just glad to
Awesome.
be able to be a blessing to so many. And again, Stacy, thank you so much. I'm
You are
honored.
so
Thank you to
welcome.
your son
You are so
and your team.
Thank you so much. So we're going to close out the show. We want to say happy holidays to everyone. Shows will continue, but we just wanted to give that love out. One of the great things that we're doing here at the Business Suites at Brass Mill, we are now sponsoring 3 families for the holidays. We have teamed up with Chef Stacia over at Mason's out there in Aberdeen. She is a new, inspiring entrepreneur who's done great things for Harford County already, and we just partnered up with her. She's going to do the meal, and we're going to do the other added expense here at the Business Suites at Brass Mill. So if you have not gone on, if you're a family in need, or you know someone that's in need, please by all means fill out the application, and so we can get going on what you may need. If you want to provide something great for you and your families for the holidays. So if you want any more information, please give us a call at 410-297-9300. That's here at the campus of Brass Mill. We are also on property from 9 to 5. So you can come in and let us know what your needs are. Again, this is just something that we want to give back to the community. We give back all year, but we wanted to just highlight 3 wonderful families that are in need. So again, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Get out, stretch your legs, do something fun, find something. There's always something great to do in this little hidden gem called Harford County. Thank you guys. Have a good night.